Roman Reigns booking WWE, issues with WrestleMania, Vince McMahon cooperating with authorities, and my review of AEW Dynamite. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Last night saw Cody Rhodes make his first ever undisputed WWE title defense, fighting Shinsuke Nakamura at a house show. Which, yes, it's still weird saying that the champion is someone other than Roman Reigns. But Roman isn't just no longer a champion in WWE. He's no longer on WWE either, with WrestleVotes posting he's set to be off screen for an indefinite period of time. Indefinite period of time, title of your next AEW pay-per-view. Because, just like Rock the Dwayne Johnson, he's shooting a movie, being pictured on the set of Good Fortune, a comedy film directed by Aziz Ansari and starring Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen and Keke Palmer. It was Palmer who posted the photo on her Instagram where Joe Anoa'i is surrounded by women, one with a championship belt and loads of gold! Roman's next advertised TV appearance is the August 2nd episode of SmackDown, which is the go-home show for SummerSlam. But while Roman is off screen for the next 4 months, behind the scenes, he'll reportedly still be contributing as WrestleVotes continues. Roman will still have substantial creative input in the evolving Bloodline storyline over the course of the next few months. Roman and Paul Heyman have reportedly had a lot of influence over the direction of the Bloodline since 2020, which appears set to continue in this new era of the storyline, which Heyman calls the top of the fourth, 2 batters in and 1 strike. And is, of course, all building to new blood versus OG Bloodline at WrestleMania 41. A mania that'll hopefully be a lot warmer. WrestleMania 40, aka Philadelphia's rolling April weather coverage, is set to directly influence where Mania 41 takes place, which is why next year's location hasn't yet been announced like it usually is. The cold Philadelphia weather on night 1 both forced the commentary team to wear hats and gloves to keep warm and also cooled off the crowd heat, who were far less audible on the Saturday because of the chill. WWE President Nick Khan has told the Sports Business Journal's World Congress of Sports Conference Business that next year's show likely won't take place on the East Coast. A specific location wasn't given, but Khan said Las Vegas was under consideration. This might rule out the previously reported Minneapolis, which is too cold. 2025 will be Khan's first year fully deciding where WrestleMania will take place, as up until now, the locations have been booked back in 2020. That was back when Vince McMahon was running the show, and now there's been an update on whether he'll be running another one. Dave Meltzer reported earlier this week that some believe McMahon might start up a new wrestling promotion. NBC has now reported an update on what Vince is up to these days. Very much staying busy, getting bi-weekly haircuts, working out with his personal trainer, and, quote, enjoying life. The report describes McMahon as not being worried about the lawsuit Janelle Grant has filed against him, and he is continuing to cooperate with authorities in their investigation, believing it will be settled before it reaches trial. Interestingly, it's also reported that McMahon has remained in contact with 2 top WWE stars since his departure, John Cena and The Rock. According to Brandon Thurston, Grant's spokesperson called Cena and Johnson's association with McMahon shameful, saying behind-the-scenes support is louder than any public statement ever could be. Now it's time for my review of AEW Dynamite. In about 5 minutes, the go-home show for Dynasty, which means it's the brand new season of Wrestle League. Sign up to our Wrestling Predictions League using the link in the video description below to compete against me, Luke, Pete, everyone in the WrestleTalk office, where you could also win prizes up to $250. The show started with New Japan's new IWGP Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley coming through the crowd. As if AEW weren't content with Will Ospreay and Okada, they've gone to take New Japan's main belt too. For Moxley, this was the culmination of a 5-year mission. He fired up about believing in yourself and what's in your gut. That's what AEW is all about. That's the perfect way to put over AEW, a line within a promo building a larger story, as opposed to entire segments directly responding to things WWE people said in interviews. Mox then focused on the Don Callis family after what they did to Bryan Danielson on Collision and challenged Will Hobbs to a match for for next week's Dynamite, implying that the Blackpool Combat Club and Don Callis family feud will continue post-Dynasty. Mercedes Moné put the entire women's division on notice next after she was attacked in the dark last week, a threat that will be more intimidating if she actually wrestled. This led into another mysterious attack from Chris Statlander. I mean, it could be anyone. Taking out Willow Nightingale ahead of her mixed-gender tag match with Adam Copeland. It left Edge out there all by himself against the House of Black's Brody King and Julia Hart, really getting the crowd into Copeland being worked over in what had become a mixed-gender handicap match. The crowd was great all night. Willow finally made it down for a hot tag sequence, but Julia knocked her out with a chain on one, building their TBS title match for Sunday. Monet chased off Hart with a chair, looked tensely at Willow, and shook Edge's hand. The Jacksons then interrupted their own hype video package for them versus FTR because they didn't like it, and got Tony Khan to cue up their entrance music. I'm starting to feel like in the Elite, Tony Khan has replaced Michael Nakazawa. This turned into a 6-man tag of the Elite versus Pac, Penta, and Daniel Garcia. This was a terrific match, doing enough to tease Okada versus Pac for Dynasty, but also really getting over Garcia, who got several comeback sequences, the best when Matthew Jackson screamed at him on the microphone to prove himself, so Garcia gave him a suplex while Matthew was asking, "Oh, can you put me down, please?" If I was a booking man, I'd say Garcia will continue to be part of this storyline where he can feud with a returning scapegoat. Okada pinned Garcia for the win, but Pac chased the Elite off with a hammer before they could do more damage with a ladder. It took Garcia over a year to escape the pull of the Chris Jericho vortex, and now the Ocho is trying to consume another rising star. Taz mediated an in-ring conversation between Jericho and Hook. Jericho used the Vortex name that he recently filed to trademark, which I believe is actually a joke we started way back when with the Baron Corbin midcard Vortex, saying everyone he works with has ended up better. Not mentioning Action Andretti or Eddie Kingston. Hook refused, Jericho shoved Taz in frustration, and it set up their match at Dynasty. Ah yes, the classic Jericho feud template. The babyface has already beaten him clean, so look forward to 6 months of matches where Jericho wins. He'll get a new faction too. Deonna Purrazzo then beat Mariah May in a match to position the Women's Championship #1 contender coming out of Dynasty. The crowd got into the action a lot more than me, and that helped both wrestlers feed off the energy. Toni Storm jumped Purrazzo as soon as she won, so Thunder Rosa made the save. But just like Rosa rejected Deonna's help last week, Deonna rejected hers here. So Rosa just beat up Toni instead, smearing lipstick over Storm's face, similar to how Toni had smudged Thunder's face paint last week. Might have been nice to have some follow-up to Mina Shirakawa snogging May last week, but I guess that's my fault for not watching the other 15 hours of weekly interpromotional content to understand this division. Backstage with Renee Paquette, the Bang Bang Gang and the Acclaimed then set up their months-long build, blood feud, double belt, winner takes all grudge match payoff for the pre-show. This feud really has not clicked. Orange Cassidy beat Shane Taylor, not just in a story of power versus speed, but of having mates versus having no mates. I really like Taylor. I always have done. This was as good a match as you can get with what they went out to do, but Cassidy overcame the promotion's interference to win. Commentary said Shane Taylor Promotions is becoming a force to be reckoned with on Dynamite. Well, then I wish they'd won more than one match on AEW TV all year. That dastardly Trent then stopped random babyfaces Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal, saving Cassidy from the post-match beatdown. I'm really into Trent's intensity as a heel. Trent-tensity. We got a recap of Roderick Strong turning on Kyle O'Reilly. I love Strong, but this TNT title has massively dropped in significance since he won it. And then we got Match of the Night, probably Match of the Week. A pay-per-view caliber clash between Will Ospreay and Claudio Castagnoli. This is how you reply to competition and criticism. You show, don't tell that AEW is where the best wrestle. Claudio was the perfect base for Ospreay, launching him around the ring, every single move and exchange slick, fast-paced and incredible. Claudio's uppercuts in the corner with the speed and volume of Misawa chops. Ospreay's kip-up rebound off the mat into an enziguri off another uppercut. Ospreay crunching up on Claudio's swing to hit a DDT, a Phoenix splash into a near fall, and then the hidden blade to win in an excellent final sequence. The Don Callis family beat down Claudio afterwards, which Ospreay seemed upset by, sowing those seeds of dissension, but Moxley made the save. Out of their usually scheduled time, AEW had one more segment. After separate backstage sit-down interviews, Swerve Strickland called out Samoa Joe to explain how he's going to beat him for his world title. Aside from a superhero-like stomp off the top rope outside on like 8 security guys, how does that even work? For me, Swerve and Joe had more intense brawls in previous weeks. Nevertheless, I honestly cannot wait for them to fight a dynasty. This week's AEW is 75%. But what about WrestleMania 41? It's only a year away. Go watch me, Luke, and Pete predict that show way too far in advance.